What's happening, guys? My name is Anthony, and in today's video we're going to be covering the F1 Esports 2022 qualifying. So they've already released it for the month of October. Obviously F1 Esports is starting this month, so they also want to start the qualifying for the next season this month as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what this challenge is, how to go about it, how to best get the best score that you can, and also just some extra details as well whilst showing you my attempt. So you can see now we showed some failed attempts, and when it comes to the F1 Esports qualifying, if you've done it before, you know that you cannot, and I repeat, cannot get a single warning if you are seriously looking to qualify for F1 Esports. So let's talk about what F1 Esports qualifying is, and then we'll move on to some of the extra details. So yeah, what is the qualifying? Well, basically it's usually an event, a challenge event done in a fashion of you've got a few laps to get a car in a certain position and you have to be as quick as possible. So in this case, you can see we're in Carlos Sainz's Ferrari and we're at Austria, and we are starting in 8th place, and we have to try and chase down Sergio Perez, who is currently in 5th place, and overtake him to finish the race in 5th place. So if you don't finish in 5th place by the time that the event is done, by the time you get to lap 71, then you will just fail and you will have to restart. So yeah, they are judging you based on certain things, and you do get given a score based on some of these things as well. So there's one thing that I wanted to mention to you guys just quickly, because it is important, which is that since I have done this attempt, they have reset the scores and they have recalculated the scores as well. So you'll see at the end of this video that I got a score of 79,000, which at the time that I had done this challenge, it was good enough for the top 10. Obviously I'm not a top 10 driver, but at the time it was a good enough score to get me into top 10. However, you might see different scores if you go and look at the F1 Esports qualifying right now, and that's because they've recalculated and reset all the scores. So what do you actually get scored on here? What are they looking for when it comes to F1 Esports? Well, to be frank with you, they're looking for pace and they're looking for consistency. You need to be on 110% AI. You need to complete this challenge on 110% if you're seriously looking to qualify for F1 Esports. In addition to that, you also need to be using no assists. So if you use assists, you do get points deducted. If you're using anything less than 110%, you do get points deducted. In addition to that, if you get warnings, you will have points deducted as well. So all of those things will end up losing you points, and it will lose you quite a lot of points as well. There's a really big difference there, and you can actually see that we almost got a warning there for going out wide, and we were very lucky. So I'm hoping that now that they've reset the scores, reset the calculations, I hope that they have changed the track limits for this event just a little bit. I doubt they have, however I hope they do, because it was so easy to abuse the track limits for the second sector and the final sector. You were able to gain tenths of a second on each lap just by abusing the track limits, and they do have a process in place where if you do abuse these, then you won't qualify for it, because they do ask for your footage. So if you give them the footage and they see that you're abusing the track limits like that, then obviously your score is just going to be disqualified right there and then. However, the fact that you can abuse those track limits in the first place is quite annoying. So a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. We did the attempt, and I think it took us around about 2.5 hours, just under 2.5 hours to get this attempt that you're looking at right now. And you can see that we have already passed the 3 people that we needed to pass, and it's very important of where you actually catch these people up on track, because you do get judged for your overall time, and you do get judged based on your fastest lap. So you want to have the fastest lap possible, and in addition to that, you also want to have the fastest overall time throughout the event possible. So catching up Daniel Ricciardo is probably the most important AI that you'll need to catch up. If you catch him up in Sector 2, then it's going to be a nightmare for you, because he is going to slow you down, and that's going to slow down your fastest lap, and it's also going to slow down your overall time as well. So ideally with this challenge, you want to be catching up to Charles Leclerc, your teammate, into turn 1 on lap 67, and you want to try and catch up to Daniel Ricciardo for turn 3. You can catch him up for turn 4. You're not really losing out too much if you catch him going into turn 4, but ideally you would like to catch him going into turn 3. If you catch him any later than turn 4, then honestly I would suggest you restart, because the quickest guys are going to be catching him at those places that I mentioned previously, and that means they're going to have a faster lap than you, a fastest lap than you, and they're also going to just generally have a faster overall time than you, because they wasn't held up in Sector 2 like how you were held up. So yeah, it is a sweat fest. You've pretty much got to sweat it out as much as you can. Another thing that I don't really hear a lot of people talking about is the AI themselves. Every time that you attempt this challenge, the AI do drive slightly different. There are a few hundredths, a few tenths of a second in terms of play here, so sometimes you might get lucky and you might catch up the AI because they're a little bit slower, and sometimes you might not catch them up because they are just faster. It is really RNG, which does suck, but it is how the challenge is, and you've just got to do a few attempts if you're seriously looking to qualify for F1 Esports, or else you could be potentially losing out on some points. So I do believe that now they've recalculated the scores. You're going to be wanting to aim for, I think, roughly about 180,000 in terms of points scored. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but ideally you want to be aiming around about that ballpark. Towards the beginning of the challenge, before they did the recalculations, you was probably aiming for about 80,000. We ended up with 79,000, so you know, we did pretty well on this attempt. However, we did lose out a good couple of seconds to the guys who were you know, really quick. So yeah, I think we ended up losing about 3 seconds overall. The fastest guys by the end of the challenge were roughly about 5, maybe just under 5 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton in 4th place, whereas you can see now we're on the final lap and we're roughly about 8 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. So we did lose out a good couple of seconds there, and that's just due to us not hitting apexes for most of those laps, especially in Sector 2. I definitely felt we could have attacked those corners a little bit more, and even on the final lap here you can see turn 1 and turn 3 wasn't necessarily the best. We could have definitely improved upon that a lot. So yeah, with the challenge, I highly recommend that you give it a go, even if you're not looking to obviously be an F1 Esports driver. I highly suggest doing it just for fun, just to see where you come up against your friends, where you come up against myself, for example. Obviously you can't necessarily judge your scores based on the actual points, because the points are different, but if you take a look at my overall time that I'll show towards the end of the video, and if you take a look at my fastest lap, you can also obviously compare those and basically see how quick you are compared to me, how quick you are compared to your friends, and how quick you are compared to the guys who are seriously looking to do F1 Esports, and just see where you could hopefully make up time by watching videos like this. So yeah, this was a fun challenge. I'm definitely going to be doing it again now that the points have been recalculated, just to see where I do stack up against some of the quicker guys now that the points has been recalculated. But other than that, I'm probably not going to be sweating out this challenge, because honestly it is a headache and it is stressful for the guys who are being serious about this, because you pretty much have to get the perfect run if you want to get a decent score. But yeah, you can see now we've just finished the challenge. We did end up with the fastest lap of a 1 minute 4.8. You roughly want to be about a mid to maybe low 1 minute 4 if you are serious about qualifying for F1 Esports. But yeah, you can see we ended up with a 79,379 points at the time of streaming this, and at that time it was good enough for the top 10. I do believe just before the points were qualified there were a few more people that did the challenge, and we were moved down to, I think, roughly about 22nd place. So yeah, we did have a good attempt there. However, I do want to do this again and sort of compare my second attempt later on in the month compared to my first attempt that I've done just the other day there. So I hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to smash the like button, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos similar to this, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. And again guys, make sure to go to the comment section down below and just let me know how you guys do in this challenge and sort of what AI you ended up going against.